bring up there's a book called I believe it's called The Library Book by Susan Orlean, which is a pretty like a really good book for anyone just trying to understand what the purpose of a public library is. And it kind of tells the story of a fire that burned down like the LA library and it's like the rebuilding process. But it really goes into like the history of like public libraries. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because what a lot of people might not know about like the histories of public libraries is that, well, one, libraries didn't used to always be like public service kind of situation. It wasn't something that anyone could have access to. They basically used to be kind of like country clubs. Um, and during that time, you would, you'd pay in, and also, because of social norms, it was also common that women were not allowed to be in them, for example, or kids. But as times changed and things developed, they became more and more open. But one of the interesting things about the early libraries is that they were not specifically just for books, at least in America. There were situations in which like you had sporting equipment in the library. And interestingly enough, we're seeing kind of a return to stuff like that where if you've ever heard of like the library of things, like there's situations, and I think Johanna mentioned this also, like you can get like zoo passes or like museum passes from the library these days. So there's a situation, or I guess there's this trend of really trying to make the library a central place for accessibility to all kinds of things within the environment or the neighborhood. And I think that's core to at least the public library's like mission. And it ends up being a very contextual thing where not all libraries will have the same things, but they all work on this central kind of theme of trying to make things accessible for people. And I guess the last thing I'll say about that also is just that you also see a similar situation when it comes to digital collections, where because of the nature of online information, you can technically find everything everywhere, at least the most generalizable stuff. But there's more of a focus or an importance for certain collections to hone in on a certain topic. And then that gives it an extra value in that sense because you can't find it everywhere. And that's kind of one of the benefits of the Learn Work ecosystem library in that sense, because it's a specialty library in that sense. And I would also say that like outreach is becoming a super big deal for libraries, because especially public libraries, because if they don't get funding, then they can't do anything. And the digital nature of how people get information makes it so that some people are less likely to physically come to the library. But it also maybe makes it more easily available for the library to hopefully get access to people like through digital outreach, for example. I know a lot of people who have become very much big fans of the Milwaukee Public Library just because of their TikToks, for example.